welcome to 12.6, Area and Circumference of Circles and the Number Pi. Here are the topics, key skills, and understandings. Grade 7 vocabulary and concepts. What is the area of the circle? Now, it's likely that you've seen this before, of course, pi r squared. So the area of a circle has to do with the radius r units and the Greek letter pi. And in our discussion board, we're going to explore pi a little bit more. But pi is this kind of mysterious number that's approximately 3.1419, and it's been around forever. Nearly 4,000 years ago, it's believed that the ancient Babylonians and Egyptians knew about pi and actually used it to, they got really, really close. So in this section, we are going to discuss pi and how it's related to the distance around the circle and why the area of a circle of radius r is pi r squared. But we are going to start with circumference. The circumference of a circle is similar to the perimeter. We just have a different name for circles. So the circumference is the distance around the circle. It's like the fence. It's the perimeter of a circle. We just use a different name. And the radius of the circle is the distance from the center of the circle to any point on the circle. We learned that before. And the diameter is 2 radii, or, you could think about that. Okay, so that's a diameter. There are infinitely number of diameters and radii around the circle. So we're going to do an exploration. Remember, super important that you take the time to do these before I teach the concepts. So pause the video here, work on this first exploration, press play when you're ready to move on to the next exploration. In this exploration, you will need to download and print Activity 6, which is available in our Canvas, and you will need scissors. I have the activity here on the side, but if you are not able to print, then go ahead and find 3 different circular objects, some string or cord or floss, and just mirror this exploration with your objects. And then press play when you have completed this exploration. So in the exploration, you use diameter of a circle to measure its circumference, and you probably noticed that it takes 3 whole diameters plus a little more to make the circumference. And that was every time, no matter the size of the circle. So that little more, maybe you were even able to tell that it was about 1/10 of the diameter. But no matter what the size of the circle is, the circumference is measured by its diameter times about 3.14, and that number is pi. No matter what, we can always determine the circumference of a circle, the distance around a circle, if we take the diameter and multiply it by 3.14. So it's going to go around this distance is going to go around the circle 3 times with a little bit extra, 3.14. Circles can be small or large, so why is the circumference of every circle always the same size when measured? Well, we're going to look at that more in chapter 14 when we look at scaling shapes. So here is another visual of you kind of seeing, all right, this is the diameter, and it takes 3 and a little bit more to go around. And no matter how big the diameter is, it's always going to take us 3 and a little more, or pi amount. So how can we develop a formula to relate the diameter and the circumference of the circle? Well, let's say we have a chosen unit of length measurement, centimeters, feet, and that the diameter is d units, and the circumference is c units. Is there an equation that relates d and c? And the answer is yes. And we're kind of thinking about this as variable parts like in chapter 7. So if we think of the diameter of a circle as one part and it's d units long, then the circumference is pi of those parts. And so we can say how many groups of d units are in c units, or what times d is equal to c. Well, we know how many of these, how many diameters, 1, 2, 3, and a little more, pi diameters. Pi times the diameter is going to give us c. And there's actually a lot of different ways to look at circumference. So we've got circumference is pi times the diameter, but what about when we think about the radius? Well, we know that the radius is the diameter is 2 radii. So instead of saying pi times the diameter, we could say, hey, it's pi times 2 of the radii. And the reason why we don't say pi times 2r is just we like to order the number first. That's all that it is. And so if we were to say we wanted to enclose, let's say we had a radius of 10 feet and we wanted to enclose the garden with a fence, so that's our circumference. How much will we need? Well, we'll need c feet, and the circumference for 10 feet, so it'd be, we know that we have a radius, so it'd be 2 pi times the radius, or 20 pi, or 63 feet. So let's do some examples. Determine the exact circumference of a circle. So when they ask for exact, the answer is going to be given in terms of pi. So we know that the circumference is pi times the diameter, or 2 pi r, because the diameter is 2r. Well, we're given a diameter here of 5. So I'm going to use this formula, pi times 5. And because they want exact, I'm not going to use my calculator. I'm going to say that the answer is 5 pi centimeters. Well, let's look here. I'm given a radius now. They want the circumference, and they want me to use my calculator, 3.14. Because I have a radius, I'm going to use this formula, 2 pi times the radius. So I'm going to type that in my calculator, but instead of the pi key, I'm going to use 3.14. This is what I'm going to type into my calculator, and I end up getting 21.98 centimeters. And only centimeters because that's what these are in. Go ahead and give this a try. Press play when you're ready to see the solution. And there you go. We're going to pause the video here, come back in the next video because we're going to explore area in the next video.